Det er nogle gange fordel ikke at blive så meget hårdt. Skal jeg tale på dansk, or should I speak in English? It will be broken English. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very pleased to be here, and I'll try to tell you in 20-25 minutes about 5 years of work with the psychiatry hospital.
Anna, du får låna konkreta.
About our work with the psychiatry hospital in Slagelse in Denmark, which was finished in 2015 and has been in use now for 10 months or so. The client is one of the 5 regions in Denmark, the region Zealand, the smallest in population, but the biggest in area, and they wanted to very ambitious about trying to make a hospital to ensure the quality and the equality of the work with psychiatric patients. This is the participants, and you could notice Karlsson arkitekter with the landsting, and also NNI Pharmaplan, who's been working with the engineering of the installations, the light, the electricity, and Badenbach from Austria, who has been consulting with the light design, both daylight and artificial light. This is me. The project is a part of the investment going on these years in Denmark for mainly somatics, but also psychiatry. And this is a project we've been working with. It's between Odense and Copenhagen, but as I said, a huge, any scale anyway, a huge area with a very spread out population. This is the figures. Apparently 200 individual patient rooms with the facilities going with that. Clinics for 200-300 daily visits, research, education. 44,000 square meters, and it's a small amount of money in the overall investment going on, but it is absolutely the biggest investment in psychiatry in Denmark in this period, and for I think about 150 years or something. It's the biggest and most ambitious investment. Very, very ambitious, very dedicated client, a two-phased competition, an open competition which we won. And I have a very small firm. We're not 300 people. We only have one office. We are 10 to 12 people, but engaged into each client relation and each project. And we had no experience, and few had basically experience with how to build the new facilities for the new way of treating psychiatry. But we won this competition, and we went into this work open-minded, based on some basic ideas, and then entered into so close relationship, working together with the psychiatry. Psychiatry learned about architecture, and we learned a lot about treatment of psychiatric patients. This is the basic idea. I have to show this before I talk about the light, because we can't separate light from space. We can't separate space from materials. We can't separate the program from time, economy. Everything works together when you're dealing with architecture, making architecture. This is the site from the early stage. It's a green site. It's some old football fields. But we turn this around to say we're not going to build in a park, we're going to build taking the park into the building. And that has to do with how psychiatric patients and treatment actually works. So our ambition was, at this level, to be able to deal with all the programming that was coming into the project in the process to be expected, and to make sure that we could sort of make different kinds of realities inside, according to each patient, each state the patient are in the process of recovery from very sick to well. And that also has to do with the life. So basically, around courtyards, closed from the outside, but open inside itself. And then one point rising up to show an investment of 1.2 billion, the ability of competence, of education, of research, and so on. These are drawings going quickly through from the competition, showing the ambitions at that level for the project. That sort of speaks a bit for itself. You will want to ask anytime within the limit, of course, of time. But as you can see, light is and access to outside is from the beginning a very, very important issue. This is from the atrium and the competence center, as they call it, the high rise. And this is a site. It's urban. It's not like Stockholm or Copenhagen, but it's an urban structure, and it's a recreative structure, so that the park from the center of the city actually goes through the new hospital and allows access from the public into the hospital. This is the site, almost finished last year. You can sort of see the layer as it is. And these are some keywords. I've just touch it. Read it yourselves. What was values and goals in the work with the psychiatry? And this is a chapter of today, basically. This is just a layout. There's a lot of difference from general psychiatry to high security psychiatry, as some of you probably know. But we have worked with the same topics in dealing with how to support the work with psychiatry, though it is of course different from these from general psychiatry, forensics, and high security. And we'll basically just show you something from general psychiatry where it is has been possible to work with the ideas mostly, and therefore most interesting to see. Basically, we organize in wards based on the idea of having a social structure for a patient to deal with, and also for the staff to have sort of a known base to work in. Staff and patients know each other. It's not that you can just move staff around in the psychiatry hospital, because then you lose the knowledge of each patient, and if you lose the knowledge, you can't give the empowerment to each patient, and then you sort of can start all over. So this is the structure, but behind that structure there is competences coming, working from workspace bases and working in different kinds of rooms, from informal rooms with no real purpose, as meetings we probably have had this morning. You just meet somewhere and you get into a conversation, into more formal meeting rooms and activity rooms and sports rooms, etc. Working patient to patient and patient to staff. Very simply, we had a structure sort of a you might say a day area. We tried to move. You want to move patients from the closed room into a social and activity room, and in very these yellow dots are the staff area, which you can see pictures of, that they are placed, and also the dark is interesting. I'll get into that. They are placed between the walls and the common areas. So you sort of control a lot more area, and you are accessible much more. Though you work in a ward, you also have a part, like a shop, you might say, in the common area. And this is in the evening. This is what we want to happen. And we sort of close down this, and we have few activities, but you still have the same access in the contact between patient and staff. We call these pitching rooms. I think it was my word once. Like, you know, when pitching says sort of come back and they sit together and they move their wings and they have some messages to, this is where you meet and you know that you can meet each other. This is then how we can organize it. Has not to do with patients, but you can actually have 2-3 wards working with the same treatment topics and so on. So that's we got together after we won this the real task. That's how we work. We want to find the best co-workers in the areas that we don't cover ourselves. And I had experience with working with Baden-Baden on the metro projects actually in Copenhagen. And I called vårdmiljöer from Baden-Baden, said, I've got this project, it's quite interesting, it's quite huge. And now the client asked me what is the state of the art in the work of basically artificial light. So what came up, and we discussed ideas and possibilities. And it turned out that the LED technology had a ocean of possibilities that could match the work in our projects, as you probably know. This is just to show that the planning included everything, not just one room, not just one lamp, but the way the building is on the site, and the way you move around, and the way it shows itself during the night. This is 1 month ago, I think, and you can see closed one-storage buildings, and you can see the high-rise, which is still open here, late evening. This is the main access at this building that shows itself when you enter. It's been very important for us to work with the architecture in a way that we, if you're a patient and entering this house for the first time or even the second time in a way, this is not the best days of your life. And it's very important that the architecture is not the architect's dream that might scare you or intimidate you. We really wanted to keep everything very, very simple, very, very easy to understand, and still, of course, have the expected complexity. Basically, the idea is that we have sort of a hierarchy from the patient room with very, very few elements, very few stimuli, and then we have different levels that you can actually work with patient and staff, and you end up in reality, because there's a whole idea that is to return to reality and be able to work in real life, though you might have some psychiatric disease. But this is the most, this is the biggest one. This is the outside, you might say. This is pictures from the entrance, and these pictures will show you basically some of the way we have been working with light. And this is an entrance that I think it might be a school or a small business or something. We wanted to keep it very accessible, very understandable, and very nice. You should feel good, you should feel confident when you enter here. It should be people to people all the time, no machines, no, how do I do this? You meet a person, and that's also the first contact that starts the work in finding out what is wrong, how bad is it, what can we do. It's skylights, which we use a lot. It's sidelights, and then it's also artificial light on this picture, and that is one of the issues that we've been taking up. We think that, as you suggested, that you've shown us that every day is different. Sometimes it's very nice weather, there's a lot of warmth in the night, the sun is shining. Sometimes it's cold, there's winter, there's summer, and so on. We want it to be sunshine inside the house all the time. We want to compensate the qualities that we think that is important for our brains, especially when you are in conditions that psychiatric patients. So we want to always have a warm light, and as this picture shows, and others will as well, we want to work very specific with the materials to ensure that the light, both the daylight, when it's coming, when it still is, if it's gray, but also the artificial light is reflected. You have also very, very nice, actually, material colors in this room, I think, and there will be a reflection from the floor and from the walls, and also from some perhaps art or other things that will give a warm and welcoming and engaged sort of image from the house. This is the atrium of the tower, as we call it, Tower of Knowledge. You have all the laboratorium, the meeting rooms where patients and staff work together, and you have on the other side, which is out here, you have an open workspace for all the competencies in the house, and they sort of meet around this courtyard, which is covered. And you can see again the materials. It's a birketræ, and the reflections. And this is the skylight above, and together the skylight over the atrium and the daylight solutions in the house gives enough daylight all the time. But if there's not enough, or if it's too cold, it's compensated. You see it from below. You see this. This is, as I said, this is specifically a little bit complicated. This is just before you can sort of deal with the real world. This is as complicated as you get in a workspace or in a music hall or whatever. It's quite a nice house, and it gives a nice room, and it gives identity to the house and to the project, and it's quite popular actually. I suggested they had some weddings. They haven't done it yet, but we hope so. And this is a workspace, and this is chosen in Denmark in ways, a totally new way for doctors and over-doctors and nurses and therapists and everybody to work together. Nobody has their own office. Everybody works in an open workspace with a lot of facilities for the daily work, meeting rooms, quiet rooms, so on and so on. It actually works quite well. This is what we enter, basically the wards, the common area, and you can see again the combination. Most of the pictures I bought is on a great day, because we want to show this, how it actually works, that we use the light also as a wayfinding if you want. This is, I think it's a kitchen, training kitchen, which also is a cafe. We want that to be interesting. We want it to be used. So we use the light to make it interesting and to make it nice. You want actually to go in there, and there's a very good light to work in. This is another example of the combination. This is the skylights and sunlight. We're very specific about using the light to, if we want to attract what people to actually go to a place where they're supposed to use it, like activity rooms or cafe or sports rooms or so on, and other rooms we don't want people to go to. That's more for the inside. We use the light quite specific. We have the light on the outside, or we have the light on the inside. And this is on the outside, so we don't, because there's offices behind here you can see in, but you're not supposed to feel that this is where I'm going to go. But we always walk. We don't walk like this. There's another discussion. You also talk about when we have the lights. We have the light poles on the outside. We don't need to have the light on the floor. We need to have light in other places because we actually look like this and we orientate like this. This is a combination again. It's late and you can see the difference when you have some activity. And if you walk around in this quite huge house, we use the light to say very simple. There's something going on. You can find people here if you need it. And you can't get it. It's very simple. And it works quite well. This also starts the introduction of circadian light, which we work quite carefully with. Every armature, every fixture has its own address, and we can set up the light atmosphere 100% as we want it. And basically we have 3, 4, 5 different scenarios according to where we are in the house and what the functions are. And that means that if you, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or 8 o'clock, or 11 o'clock in the evening, when you hit the light, it's a different color and it's a different level that comes out. And that means that the whole house basically is used very, very simply. It's not something that it turns on when you walk in, and that would be, it has to be this very transparent house that we just light up when you walk. But when there's activity, the light is it's high and cobra light, high lux and cobra light in the day, one activity, and then it turns down, and it never actually turns off. There's always a little light. There's a little light outside also to ensure that we don't have reflections, like mirror reflections in glass walls. And these scenarios we have set once, and we are actually now we're working with resetting a bit, also with staff. This is the other issue. 700 staff, people working in the night. You know all about these issues of 24-hour work. And it's very important that the levels on the workspace also is perfect. And then we have now the possibility after 1 year to adjust, which is quite good possibility. Yeah, it's just. Does it make sense when you see these pictures, these things that I'm talking about? This is also about having a little light. There's nobody here, so we don't have to have light. There's a little light, because once you would be scared what's going on. There's light on the outside. This is actually the ward, the pitching rooms, and people are passing by when there's more light. This is in the ward. The patient rooms are on the one side and the other side, on the 2 sides of the courtyard. We never have corridors without daylight. We think it's so important for the efficiency, as you talked about. The efficiency for psychiatry has very, very much to do with that people are feeling safe and are able to sort of work with themselves, work together. So the investment of square meters with a single corridor with access to outside or daylight anyway, we think it's very important. It's also very important that you have the right dimensions, but that's another discussion, because the closer I get, the more scared you get, and that's how it works. And if it starts out that you're not feeling good and you're a little afraid who's who, you need more space to be able to actually work, or if nothing happens. That's another discussion. This is sports areas. We work also here very specific with the materials. To get this warm feel, there's also heat on the floor in this area, so you can sit if you want to use it. And introduced, steps like a small arena, so if you're not just in the mood of a lot of sports in the summer, or you get an anchor or something, you can find a place to stay and be part of the activities they do. These are some of the solutions for skylights that we use quite a lot. We also put the artificial light into the skylight, so that that's not the principle we use all the time, but here we get light from the same place into the bigger areas, both for day and night time. Colors were worked very, very specific with. Again, we took in somebody who's better than me and us, an artist who's been working with colors for our whole life, and we made a system of colors based on some ideas of the functions and how to both make wayfinding and make each place interesting and challenging and comforting to be in. We work together also with an artist, a writer, one of the best upcoming Danish writers, and she wrote poetry into each glass wall, cut out in folios, in colors, and working together with the light behind the folios or on the folios, that made a very, very nice way of easily showing how you produce a house, what you're supposed to do, what you want to do, and so on. And this is, for instance, this is an interesting thing. So you can see the light focused on in the door. You can see the little less lights behind. There's not much activity now. There's nobody here at this moment, so it's not interesting to enter. Transparency, this is another very, very important topic for us, because you want to see each other, to understand each other, to work with each other. It's also from the picture room. And specific works with the gloss and the color together to get reflections to that the light that you have, both the daylight and artificial light, sort of gets interesting, sometimes not so interesting, and sometimes more. And you see here how beautiful it actually gets quite easily with this color scheme. And glass, this is concrete actually, and simple roof, and a little glossy painting on the door together. It creates a very, very, very nice atmosphere, which is also here of concrete and daylight and the poetry. This is from the tower, this auditorium, also the materials. You want to get into the materials and light that sort of shows away. This is from the sports areas. Yes, elevator, fine elevator, golden elevator, also on the inside. As I talked about, you can feel it's quite nice. Transparency I talked about, wayfinding I talked about, use. This is open, nothing's going on, so it's light and you know you can find people in there. And sometimes it's not so good to have transparency, you can just move it close. We developed fixtures for this project. We were not interested in fixtures basically, it's all built in, there's nothing hanging or and it was, there's a lot of different, I think there's 30, 40 different kinds of fixtures. And they're supposed to be as small, as safe, and as efficient as possible. It's not a design of fixtures, it's a design of light. This is actually the lamp in the atrium that's from the outside through the glass covers the atrium. And we had prototypes we could switch from, I don't know, 1200 Kelvin to 4000 Kelvin or something. And when we used that was in the winter. It was like coming into spring. It was when you get the warmth of this light, it was fantastic. So we could actually feel, like you said, you can't feel it, you can't go past it. We could feel it when we turned the warmth and the temperature. Yeah, these are just the pictures just to show it's custom made into the house in any way, the bulbs, the curves, and the positions to give the difference of light. This is from the skylight I showed you. This is the picture was on the table, which is a picture we used to get a lot of blocks, 500 blocks that we can use in the daytime for working space. And this is just the schemes. You can see from early stages that we define where to have and not the same level of light everywhere. We want the light to be different. That's interesting. We like that, and it shows where activity is going on. There's a plan of fixtures that follows that. And this is an example of these milieus we've been working with. The scenarios is in a patient room from nothing, basically, very, very little in the night. And 2000, 2700, it's not quite that way, but still, it's a basic, it's an idea to work with, and then the daylight. This is just a nice picture from the outside. You see how the materials reflect out, also sends a message to everyone that this is a house of something. This is a nice picture. From days, few days before the patients arrived. It's not easy. This is the bed, it's supposed to be another place. Who are you? And who are you? But I showed it, no, I promised the client not to, but I showed it because now, after 6-9 months, we have some results already about the house anyway. We don't know if this is light, but there's a huge reduction in violence. Huge reduction. And as one of the staff said, that people who hasn't been taking a shower for 15 years are smelling well and took a shower this morning. So we think it works. Yeah, that's what I have for today.